Hello there and welcome to this Intelligent Briefing. I'm Jess Phillips, Director of Strategic Content at Lynchpin Media. In this edition of our Deep Dive series, I'm speaking with Arie de Groot, Senior Director for the Middle East at Netskope. He tells us how organisations can bolster their security defences given the continued and growing use of cloud technology. Could you first of all just introduce yourself and your role within Netskope, please?
Yes, thank you, Jess. My name is Arie de Groot. I am responsible for the Middle East for Netskope. My official title, Senior Director Middle East at Netskope.
Thank you. So recent research published by Netskope revealed that 61% of all malware was delivered via a cloud app. That's up from 48% year over year. What would be your message to organisations on building security into their digital transformation strategies?
Right. When it comes to building an information security strategy, I mean, it's all about the move to the cloud, or a lot of it is about the move to the cloud, obviously. And what organizations need to take into account is that their existing tools and infrastructures for security, they are blind to the new languages of the cloud. So something needs to be done. The old-fashioned model that organizations used to have, where you protect your data center, and that's sort of the center of all your security, and then you backhaul traffic from mobile users or home users to the data center, and then either you block or you allow a user to go to a certain static website. That no longer works. Why? Users are no longer full-time in the office, as we all know. As an organization, you need to cooperate with customers, with partners, with contractors. And just saying, okay, we allow you go to these and these websites and we block all the rest, that's no longer acceptable, and it no longer works because users, they go to the internet directly. They use their own devices. Sometimes malicious, but very often for very good professional reasons, because in the cloud there's also all kinds of information, and also there are applications that we need to do our daily work. So something needs to change. And the old-fashioned model also that's adopted by many organizations that used to work to a certain extent up until recently, where if you had a mobile user, he was VPNing. He was using a VPN to go back into the data center. So you were backhauling the traffic. That also it's not scalable. It no longer works. It's too slow. It's not user-friendly for employees, and it's very insecure. We've seen a lot of breaches coming out of VPN environments, and it's very hard to manage and to scale for organizations. So when you talk about strategy, what organizations need to look at is two things, the two most important things. Security, obviously. Go to the cloud, you're in the cloud, how do you secure this? But also speed. It's just as relevant as the security itself. If traffic gets too slow, nobody will use the security, people will try to bypass it. So also your question was about malware. But when it comes to strategy, it's about much more than malware. Malware is relevant. You need to block it, of course. But it's also about data. Where is your data? What intellectual property are you trying to protect? Where are your users? What devices are they using? Where do they dial in from? What location are they, etc.? And then also, it's not only about those applications in the cloud that we all know, Office 365 and Salesforce and Box and Dropbox and Azure and AWS, etc. Those are the obvious ones. But what about the tens of thousands of other cloud applications that people use on a daily basis? You need to control those as well, and you need to control data that's in those applications and that goes to those applications. So it's about traffic. It's about traffic to the cloud, from the data center to the cloud. It's about traffic in the cloud, so cloud to cloud traffic. You're working from home, you're creating a document, and you're storing it somewhere, you don't know where, some data centers, some applications somewhere in the world. And it's also about traffic from the cloud to the data center. If you dial back into the data center from wherever you are, You want to make sure that that line is secure and easy to use. So those are the issues where I would say when strategy comes in, keep that into account.
And so then how can organizations bolster their defenses given the continued and growing use of cloud technology?
So organizations would need to adopt a security platform that runs on an infrastructure of worldwide data centers that cover all aspects, not only security, also speed. You need to have that infrastructure as a vendor of security. You need to have an infrastructure in place that's worldwide, that follows the user. You need to be always close to where the users are. Because if security slows down the traffic, as I mentioned before, it doesn't work. It doesn't serve its purpose. So milliseconds count, because a millisecond response time translates into 5, 10, 15, 60 seconds of waiting for a user to download a document or use an application, etc. So if the waiting time is too long, it's unacceptable. So speed is of the essence to provide security. So an organization would need to adopt a platform that covers all aspects. Speed, the platform needs to speak the new languages of the cloud, API and JSON, and also the thousands of dialects of JSON. Organizations need to secure cloud traffic and data in real time. And they need to know who is using what application, how, when, where, and from what device. And they need to be able to build policies around this.
So visibility is really crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
And so why is it important then that organisations do prioritise this, especially given the modern working environment with employees being split now across both office and home environments?
Yes, well, it's very relevant because of the move to the cloud, of course, and the move to the cloud has created a blind spot for organizations. Organizations that say, yeah, but we block traffic to certain websites. It's no longer enough. Yeah, but we select websites. They can go to Facebook, but they cannot go to Instagram. That's not enough. Yeah, but we can see what's inside AWS, and we can see what's inside Office 365. That's great, but it's not enough. You have to be able to secure those tens of thousands of applications out there, and you need to secure it in real time. And that's why there's really an urgent need for companies to do something, to solve this blind spot, to cover the blind spot.
What would you say is the impact to users of implementing Netskope's cloud security?
From a user perspective, if I'm an employee in an organization, I just want to use whatever device I have, wherever I am, to do my work. So using Netskope actually impacts ease and speed. So basically, an employee will use whatever device he wants, wherever he is, and it's as if he's in the office. That's what we are achieving or trying to achieve.
That's crucial, isn't it? Because it's so often talked about how organisations need to keep the balance between securing their workforce, but also not hindering productivity. So that's exactly what they need.
Right, spot on, yeah.
Who should be responsible within organisations for implementing cloud security?
That's an interesting question because it's, ultimately responsible is the CEO. It's no longer sufficient nowadays for a CEO to say when there's a huge breach, data loss, a huge hack, ransom, the company's hit by ransomware, whatever. It's no longer sufficient for a CEO to say, yeah, my IT guy got it wrong. No, that doesn't work because maybe he didn't give enough budget to the IT guy, or maybe he was using old-fashioned tools or whatever. A CEO is ultimately responsible, and a CEO should care. Then the role of the CIO is also very important. And why is a CIO today, when it comes to security, so important? It's because actually in modern days, as I mentioned, security is about one, security, two, speed. And actually that covers the work of traditionally within an organization, the chief information security officer or the security people. But on the other hand, also the work of people that work on infrastructure and networks. And what we see today is with the adoption of new strategies and applications and tools for the cloud, it often falls between the cracks. So the chief information security officer says, yeah, this is not my issue. This is for the infrastructure people. The infrastructure people say this is for the security people. The CIO, when you talk to him, and the CEO, they say, talk to my IT guy, because they don't understand what's going on. The CIO is crucial to bridge this gap. The CIO has to implement strategies where the CISO and the infrastructure people work together, cooperate, give them budget to adopt modern technologies. Also, next to all this, companies more and more increasingly, of course, have compliance officers. Now, you have to enable a compliance officer to do its work properly. How can a compliance officer do his or her work when he or she doesn't know where the data is stored? When you don't know what data is going to the cloud, is in the cloud, going from home devices to wherever. If you have no grip on what's going on, how can you do your job as a compliance officer? Give a compliance officer the infrastructure and the tools that they need to do their work properly.
I think it's a really interesting perspective, actually, how the CIO needs to have that oversight, because there's so many business needs now for what they're trying to achieve as well.
Right.
Do organizations need to migrate all security to the cloud?
No, not really. I mean, they don't have to migrate in one day to the other all their infrastructure to the cloud. No, not at all. And some securities will always have a hybrid structure where some applications are hosted in the data centers and others in the cloud. What we recommend our customers to do is to start small. Start with using cloud security, with securing some applications, using some tools, and take it from there. Then you grow. You can keep what you have. What we offer as cloud security integrates with your existing tools, with your existing applications. And gradually you can actually migrate to the cloud without ever having to migrate everything to the cloud.
And can you tell us then a little bit more about how Netskope is working with customers to solve their security challenges?
We offer a security platform, and we actually run, well, I think you can say we run the fastest security network in the world. I mean, the largest and the fastest. So maybe Google and Apple have a faster network, but from all the security players out there, we are the fastest. We have data centers. We're always close to where the user is. It's no longer about the last loop. In telecommunication, everyone was always talking about the last loop. It's now about the first loop. So this is what we offer, and we work through partners. Very relevant to how we go to market. Because the partners, they know the customers. They know the people within the customers. They know the sensitivities, etc. So we work with small and large partners. We work with managed security service providers. We work with traditional security resellers, and we work with consultants, because, I mean, it is really about building an ongoing relation, a day-to-day relationship with partners. It's about trusting each other, working together, cooperating, holding each other's hands to make sure that a customer's environment is always secure.
And can I just ask one more question, which is just, what does the year ahead look like for Netskope in the region that you're working in?
The year ahead is going to be a very busy year, especially in the Middle East. We've seen enormous adoption of cloud and cloud security, as so often starting in the US, and then it kind of came into the UK and the rest of Europe. And what we've seen in the US and in Europe, we're now seeing in the Middle East. The adoption is going so extremely fast, and organizations are now increasingly aware they need to do something, which, of course, I mean, this whole development was already happening. And now it's accelerated by COVID-19, of course, because now organizations more and more have workers that work from home and are mobile. And it might never be exactly as it was before. So we're going to be extremely busy. We have data centers in the Middle East. We invested big time in setting up our data centers here. We are compliant with local legislation in the Middle East. We're expanding our team. We're basically doing everything to make it happen and to become the leading player here. Reach out and let us prove what we're saying. I mean, it's really, I mean, what I'd like to add is speed is of the essence, not only in what we offer, but also in organizations to adopt cloud strategy. It's no longer, you cannot have a really sophisticated environment in your own data center where you secure everything, like, and then everything that's happening out there, everyone's looking the other way. That no longer works. The headquarters are all fine, but everything out there is on fire. Someone needs to do something. So please reach out and let us prove what we can do for you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. It was really great to chat to you today.
Thank you, Jess.